Welcome to the February 17th regular town council meeting for the town of Cave Creek, Arizona. I've had a volunteer for the Pledge of Allegiance, Leanne Gardner. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Leanne. Public announcements. I actually had a couple. America 250, is that on the agenda tonight? Bo?
Actually, I have an announcement on that when
you
it
do?
comes
Okay.
down to the
Okay.
town manager.
That's it. So that's all for me. Call to the public.
Wait, no,
Yeah.
I have an
Okay.
announcement.
Sorry.
So I just have a couple announcements, and I did ask Grady if I should go up there and do it as a public announcement, but he said to do it from here, so I'm just going to be brief. First of all, I want to mention real quickly traffic safety regarding the Harold's Roadhouse crossing. I think the lights there are extremely ineffective and need to be reviewed to potentially bring them up to speed, especially during the daylight and dusk. I almost got taken out a couple days ago myself there, and people just don't slow down. They don't see them. They're not bright enough or something. Also, based on what I've seen in my 25 years here and how things are going in towards the future right now, I think that we need to think about beefing up the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office patrols in the entire town core from January 1st through April when we're in high season, especially on the weekends at night on the east side of the entertainment district. That's all I have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will comment that it's not just the lights that aren't bright enough. The drivers.
Well, then you have the
That's
the
difficult.
patrols there
Yeah.
they'll get, intimidated and they'll slow down.
Okay, other public announcements. And by the way, Dusty is on, he's on the electronically on the phone, and then Catherine is not here and she's not electronically, she's out of the country. So now we're at call to the public.
Kathleen Ababe. Good evening, Mayor, council members, everybody. I wanted to bring up a concern about public safety. For the last 3 weekends in a row, up near my neighborhood, there's been some things that have been going on that I just wanted to bring to the attention of the council. So about 3 weekends ago, my husband and I were out hiking, and we were up on the Maricopa County Trail along the fence line up further up north. And in the distance, we could hear an engine, a motor, something was coming. And eventually it caught up with us. It was a fairly large quad. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but it was one of those big units. And there was a man and a woman in their 40s. They were very polite and they wanted to find a way to get to town. And they said they came from New River. And I told them that, well, you can't get there this way. And if you keep on going, the point where they were at, they would have hit private property and there's a cliff. And the only way you can get down is if you go down the craggy path that's there. You can hike it, but you got to be careful. But you're certainly not going to take a motorized vehicle down that way. They were polite, like I said. He did indicate they had a pass to go on trust land. He didn't show it to me. I didn't ask him for it. But he did say he had one. But he definitely came from New River is what he told me. So he was very polite. He turned around and went back the way he came. And we carried on. 2 weekends ago, we were outside, my husband and I, and there was a Maricopa County Sheriff helicopter circling over our neighborhood on the 48th alignment. And thank you for bringing up the presence of the sheriff because I think they're key. But they were here and they were circling around and I thought maybe someone got hurt on a hike. So I looked out and I saw a white pickup truck up on the mesa down the end of 48th alignment. And so I called my neighbor who lives down there. I asked her if she was okay. What do you know? And she said, get in your house, lock yourself in. There's an erratic man here. He's in our barn. He stole a truck. It's up on the mesa. The sheriff are after him. So her husband went out to check on her horses in the barn, and that's where that man was discovered hiding underneath their horse trailer. So he got out of there. The guy tried to give him a story about how he's trying to look for a kid and he's here with, official business and stuff, give me a ride to Mesa. And he didn't believe it. But anyways, he went in. they were able to communicate with the helicopter, the sheriff's department. And so they started talking to the guy down in the barn. Eventually they wrangled him and two patrol cars, sheriff patrol cars came up and they took him away and secured him. This was in the late afternoon. By the end of the evening, it was already dark. They had taken the truck off of the mesa. Last weekend, and that's scary, he could have been armed. Fortunately, he wasn't. Last weekend, I was walking my dog back home from a hike. It was dusk, and I looked out into where Cave Creek owns the land and adjacent to the trust land. And in the wash was what I thought was first a truck, but it wasn't a truck. I found out that it was because he turned himself around throughout the time that I watched him. It was another quad. He had his headlights on. And when I first noticed him, I was like, oh, is he stuck? What is he doing down there? Because cars don't belong down there. And then I heard a very loud shot, single shot, sounded like a rifle. I'm not, I don't know my guns, but it was a single shot, very loud. And it startled me. And then I stopped the next few steps up, and it was like, I took a picture, but it's very far away, so you don't really see much detail. Anyways, I heard a second shot and right pretty close to it. And I was like, well, he shouldn't be out there shooting. And then I heard a very young child's voice, sounded like a young boy. Dad, 3 times, Dad. And it's like, well, the quad's right there. The kid's crying out for his dad. Where's Dad? And then he did it a 3rd time. And then I heard the dad sounded like he was off in a distance. This time his voice was coming from someplace else. What? And then another shot. And then it was quiet. I still stood there and watched. And he got in the quad and he turned it around. And that's when I realized it was a quad, not a pickup truck. And then he left. I called 911 and they came out. They're awesome. The sheriff's department is awesome. They came out and they investigated. I told them that they probably came from the other side. It probably came from somewhere on the west side, whether it's New River, 24th Street, through Cahaba Springs Development, something like that. So I bring these things up to you because it's a concern. I know last year I've raised this point, and it's always like, well, we'll take care of it. We're not manpower equipped enough to do this. And I understand that. I really do. We're a small town. I understand resources are limited. But before it was just quads running through the desert. Now we've got a fugitive stealing a truck. We've got a guy out there with a gun with a little 10-year-old. What's he doing with his kid out there? What's going to be next? People are traveling up in the trail area. We're going to have a development up there. And I'm not suggesting that we have a police department. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I agree with what Joe brought up, and I did not know he was going to bring that up. We have to utilize the resources of the sheriff department. They are fantastic, phenomenal, and wonderful. And they're so responsive. The 911 call, I called 911, he called me immediately. That's right.
Kathleen, we're going to have to wrap this up.
I know.
Over your 3
I
minutes.
just wanted to get the emphasis out and the importance of it. So I appreciate, thank you for letting me.
Thank you.
share.
Joanne Stuckey.
Good evening, Mayor Morris and council members. I am Joanne Stuckey. I'm the executive director for the Cave Creek Museum. I live at 6062 East Knowles Way South. I don't know how that happens, Cave Creek. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to share some good news with you today. First, I would like to thank Cave Creek Town Council for the community grant awarded to the Cave Creek Museum for this year. This grant will provide support in creating exhibits and programs relating to our mission of serving the Desert Foothills communities. Number 2, I am very pleased to introduce our new part-time development specialist. We have one too, just like town, Joe Novelli Blasco, who's commenced work with us on February the 1st. Joe will assist the museum in developing sustainable income strategies to go about the business of meeting our mission of serving and preserving the stories and lives of those who have lived here and continue to live in the Cave Creek Mining District and the Desert Foothills communities. We look forward to seeing everyone at the events in our communities as we go forward. And thank you very much.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much.
No additional speakers.
Okay, we're on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I just had a few announcements.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
It's
ahead.
okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
A couple things. One, I wanted to acknowledge, last Thursday, the council and staff had a very productive, time together, working through what I would call some, high priorities and strategies at the annual retreat at the Holland Center. We actually left with quite a few, to-dos, which are great. We also got some really good guidance and direction, on some, initiatives. So that's great. Also, wanted to read a little bit of an announcement, which is really kind of exciting. It has to do with the country's 250th anniversary. As many people are aware, we were selected as one of many communities around the country for the America 250 Traveling Museum. The Traveling Museum is crisscrossing the state of Arizona with 30 stops. Town of Cave Creek is one of the destinations and will be here in town this Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Frontier Town. The exhibit includes the state of Arizona's replica of the Liberty Bell, as well as informative displays about our nation's founding, including stories about Arizona's history and its people. The museum launched in Prescott last weekend and had a large number of people that visited it. This should be a fun event for all who visit, and I encourage the people in the room here and the council to make a stop and visit the museum. Finally, I wanted to introduce our new Deputy Utilities Director, Ivan Robidoux. If I can have our Utilities Director, Sean Cruz-Weisner, come up, who will say a few words about our new Deputy Director, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Grady. Mayor and Council, yes, we wanted to introduce you to Ivan. Ivan's been with us for a whole week now, so he's come back, so I'm very happy about that. So he's got over 15 years of utility-related experience. His most recent is actually in the city of Hitchcock, and also he actually helped run a small community called Jamaica Bay, so in the Galveston, Texas area. But he actually has family locally, so he's dealt with smaller communities, communities that were challenging. One of his references told me that he was working for a community that had 40 years of deferred maintenance. I'm thinking, oh, I have a community that you will fit right in with.
Sounds familiar.
So we're very happy to have him on board. And again, I won't, if you have any questions, but I'm just very happy to have him on board to help us out on our utilities.
Welcome.
Welcome, Ivan.
Hello, everybody. As he was saying, I relocated from Texas. Looking forward to working with Sean and the other team to kind of help accomplish the goals for that the city and the council have set forth for everything with the utility department. So it's great to be here. I'm hoping things go well and we can get some things done. So thank you.
Welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
And being from Houston, you know what the weather to expect here.
I do.
Not as humid, but
I do not miss the humidity.
we'll see in August.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ivan. Good to have you. Anything else, Grady?
That's all, Mayor and Council.
Okay, on the consent agenda, we have 5 items. Council discussion, possible approval of resolution number 2026-04, calling the 2026 primary and general election and authorizing the town clerk to conduct the July 21, 2026 primary election and November 3rd, 2026 general election. Number 2 is council approval, granting an easement 8 feet in width to Arizona Public Service Company, APS. Number 3 is council acceptance of public sewer utility easements for properties having assessors parcel numbers of 216-07-038A and 216-07-057B. Number 4 is council discussion, possible approval, amending the previously approved Horny Toad special event application event period of April 3rd, 2026 to April 12th, 2026 per town code 114.02. And finally, number 5 is council discussion and possible approval of second quarter fiscal year 2026 budget transfers. Does anybody who need any more information on these items on council? Okay, is there a motion then?
I move to accept the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. On the general agenda, council discussion, possible approval of Harold's Cave Creek Corral special event application during the period April 2nd, 2026 to April 12th, 2026 per town code 114.02.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wait for the PowerPoint to come up. Okay, so this item per town code, any event that is longer than 4 consecutive days needs to come before council. So we are here. So this special event is April 2nd through the 12th. It does meet all the criteria. Harold's is working with both Hideaway and Roadhouse on traffic control, as well as event coordination. The additional conditions that you placed on Horny Toad previously, I have spoke with Harold's and added that for their additional conditions for approval. And they are here. Danny's here if you have any questions. But we do recommend approval of this event. So it is during Bike Week. And again, they are working with both Roadhouse and Hideaway on all the craziness that will occur. from them.
Any questions from council?
I just want to say thank you to the staff for taking a look at this after we discussed the Horny Toad a few weeks ago. And you guys tweaked it, and that's pretty satisfactory, and we appreciate that.
Okay, is there any public comment on this?
There was not.
Have you signed in?
My first time here.
Yeah,
No.
go up and get a,
This is Horny Toad, right?
Yeah.
So you're good. There's nothing.
What changed?
Nothing. You're good. This is for Harold.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said Horny Toad a few times over the chair.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
No problem.
okay, no public comment, so
Make a motion.
you make the motion?
This is a motion to approve the Harold's Cave Creek Council special event application during the period of April 2, 2026 to April 12th, 2026 per town code 114, period 02.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Harold's has been with us a long time. Danny, how long has Harold's been in Cave Creek?
Celebrating 90 years.
Many years. And you've been here?
89.
It's been a great partnership. You're a part of Cave Creek, and we really appreciate it.
You guys are doing taking great time. We're all on and going. Over the years, we've seen it all on the other, so we're happy to have be part of lockdown. So thank you guys.
Anyone else?
You want Joe first?
Oh, I was the second.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I just wanted to say that Harold's is absolutely, like Tom said, part of the fabric of this community. If you know this, Harold's is also the oldest continuously run restaurant or bar in all of Maricopa County, 90 continuous years since it was built to water down the people who built the dams back there. Also would like to recognize Danny Piacadillo over here for his achievement and his accomplishment this weekend at the age of 39. So you must have been 1 year old. He did the marathon in Mesa this weekend, which he's never attempted anything like that. And he finished and he ran it with his 22-year-old son who also finished. So kudos for you, Danny.
wow, that's something.
Very good.
Okay, yeah.
I would just like to compliment Harold's for the improvement on the pavers and walkway to the upper parking lot. I think that's been a good safety addition and should make that passway through the street safer for all people coming and going. And also Harold's has been a great community partner in terms of supporting nonprofits with all kinds of events over many, many years. So that is appreciated in Cave Creek as well. Thanks.
Any last comments, Tom or Dusty? Okay, with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next is council discussion and possible consideration of a proposal for the town of Cave Creek to participate in a grant-funded transit pilot program operated by the Desert Foothills Transit System.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a little bit of background. It's stated in the report, but I wanted to, for the sake of the public that are here and the council, just want to let you know that back in December, The Transit Board of Directors for the Desert Foothills Transit System met with the mayor and myself about a concept of a proposed regional transit system that would serve Cave Creek, Carefree, and just generally what would be considered the Desert Foothills area. The Transit Board of Directors are here tonight. If you can just all stand up. And they will be giving a presentation that you see before you. So we'll go ahead and go forward with the presentation. We've got a PowerPoint. We can give you the remote if you like. You can sit down. That would work.
So we're looking to do a public transit circulator for the towns of Cave Creek and Carefree. We would have about 16 stops as our anticipated loop through both towns. It could service regular service 7 days a week, 12 hours a day is kind of what we're looking at doing. It'd be a fare free transit system. And during events, we can modify the schedule to service the towns, art shows, Holland Center, rodeo, whatever it may be. We'd use 2 buses, one going clockwise, one counterclockwise, and just circulate people through towns. We've talked with the Hiltons, and they're in support as well as about 60 businesses and organizations through town. And we could get people out transit. We're looking at reducing traffic congestion and improving pedestrian safety as well.
Mayor, just a request. Could we have our guests please introduce themselves?
My apologies.
That's
My,
okay.
my name is Max Anderson.
Max Anderson. Okay.
My name is Cam Cunha. I'm the president of the Desert Foothills Transit System Board.
I'm the executive director, and then we have Brett Downs and Leanne Gardner. They're our directors as well.
So where this idea really came from was the need from both towns. We've all been kind of aware of some different feedback from some of the members, getting around parking being one of them, right? The consistent communication between the town of Carefree and the town of Cave Creek, I think, is what sets us up for this opportunity, because everybody has done such a great job working together, and it's something that the whole community can benefit from. Just to go back here a little bit, right there, I guess I'm right where I want to be. Obviously, the benefit would be to local families, business owners, visitors, and community organizations that are associated, organizations such as Kiwanis, such as Caring Corps, all the other great non-for-profits that this community hosts, right? Some of the current challenges that we're trying to address with this project are going to be the limited public transit options connecting Carefree and Cave Creek. Ubers are struggles to get down here, right? Waymos don't go past the 101. So this is a unique opportunity to provide something that can hopefully drive tourism to the town, but can also help with just moving the town assets around and getting people to the different places and the different restaurants and shops that we have available in Carefree and Cave Creek, right? So the parking pressure around the town core is part of the big kind of objective behind this. We've talked about different parking lots. I know from my experience with Kiwanis, right, that being an issue as far as our own parking at the Kiwanis Marketplace. So this is an opportunity to kind of connect every business owner and connect the communities in the sense that it's a shuttle taking people on a scheduled course around the town so they can see all that there is to offer. Goal obviously being to help with the traffic congestion, peak tourist seasons, and the art festivals and the weekend events, right? So the route, just to give you all an idea here, it's been timed out by our expert in transportation here, Max. 34 minutes, 59 seconds. It'd be a circulating shuttle with a loop around the Black Mountain area and connecting some of the major businesses and non-for-profits in the area, right? ADA accessible would be the vehicle, so wheelchairs and any disabilities would be more than welcome to ride and also enjoy the service. And right now, like Max said, we're talking about 2 shuttles, alternating routes, hopefully getting people on the, I'm going to mess up the direction here because the road's a circle, but north side of the road, east side of the road, so they don't have to cross the street to get to a specific stop, right? Or utilize the crosswalks. The vehicle that we would be looking at here, it's actually not going to be a Gretsch, it would be a Turtle Top. We have looked at different carriers for the creating the actual rigs. Local business sponsorships are available for use on the windows. But really, the whole idea is to have not the eyesore of public transportation, but also the perk of something that feels quality and like the town members can use it, right? Operating 6 to 7 days a week, approximately 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And as Max said, it would be fare free. So there's no charge to ride. That does impact the liability if we were to take on money. So that helps kind of keep that away from it, right? You don't have a target on your back driving around with a bus with a bunch of money in it, right? So helps that way. Also helps in the sense that we're not going to be looking for pay for rides, right? So there's over 60 local business owners that we do have letters of support from. So that helps with everything. Really what we need from the town and what we are looking to work with the towns on for as far as partnership is concerned is going to be the help to secure the rural municipal transportation grant. One town must serve as the co-signer for the grant application in the launch phase, and continued coordination with the town for route planning, adjustments, including new business is always something that we would hope to continue and keep on moving into the future. I do have a couple specific slides. So our original approach to secure the 20% local match was that the project does qualify for ADOT's funding via an IGA, intergovernmental agreement. What we had planned to do was apply for the FDA Section 5311 grant, to cover the 20% local match, right? That would essentially make it no out of pocket for the town. What we have found, and we're kind of in a little bit of a gray area on, is that due to timing constraints, we may not get that funding. So for the time being, we've chosen to essentially make game plans to go forward without it. But Max has done some work behind the scenes with ADOT to figure out that information. And maybe you could give them a little bit of insight on how that grant works right now.
There's potential for pilot program funding, which would be not something they normally offer. But for unique services such as this, they say it may qualify for that. Other alternatives is we can get private funding. It doesn't necessarily have to be municipal funds at all. We can, as we're going to sell ad space on the vehicles, and the ad space on the vehicles, we anticipate it becoming self-sufficient off of the ad sales. And that's kind of what we have going right now.
So the nice thing about that, by withdrawing from the 5311 submission, is we're going to kind of move forward with what we have in progress. It allows us a broader horizon, right? If the towns have questions, if layering the two towns, if working together, if getting it right is really, the peak importance, and really for our group here, that's what we care about, is doing it the right way, making sure everybody feels positive about the idea, but also like there's a positive impact to the communities involved, right? But our goal in the updated approach is to minimize the financial impact to each town and leverage the shared regional benefit. We want to combine public, private, and community support, and our target is to secure the 20% match in a way that's equitable, creative, and fiscally responsible for both of the towns. Feels like something that's easy to do. So our potential solution originally was Solution A, which is the joint IGA shared contribution. Both towns participate in the IGA, 20% even match, split evenly between 10% Cave Creek, 10% Carefree, that reduces the burden on each municipality and reinforces the regional cooperation. Match sources can include direct funding contributions, in-kind support. We've talked about potential leasing space as far as storing the vehicles, and other creative ways. And as Max mentioned to me earlier today, actually, it's pretty creative on how you can go about getting the 20% match. Can you just give some ideas that you had mentioned to me earlier?
So the most attractive would be the in-kind support of non-financial contribution, such as storing the vehicles, providing external support, things that wouldn't draw funds directly from the towns. And we have a few private foundations we're talking to about providing funding for the actual vehicles and the system to begin while we get the ads sold and the ad revenue moving.
So the benefits of the whole idea would be balanced incentive and exposure for both of the towns, and then a unified regional transportation solution that really brings all the communities together is the goal for all of us, right? The other option to do this way would be the community and private funding route, and we could launch a local fundraising and sponsorship campaign to achieve the 20%. Engage the local businesses, residents, donors, and corporate sponsors. The town roles in that scenario could include public endorsement or outreach assistance, or assistance in hosting events or campaigns to draw awareness and raise funding for the idea, right? This benefit obviously is a little bit clear, is there's no out of pocket for either town, and we're able to get and garner that support, I guess, before the mission even launches, which is a unique opportunity there. And obviously it demonstrates a strong local support to state agencies. So the timeline to launch on the project, if we get approval, is obviously the review and approvals. Then we would, next step would be the vehicle acquisition. We do have to build out the vehicles, so there's a timeline there and there's a horizon. As that's happening, we'd be looking to move into operational setup, route, and then to route finalization and stop designation, obviously being subject to change throughout the process, and eventually a soft launch and then monitoring, and hopefully some feedback from the towns and from the town councils to one, make sure we're doing a good job, and two, make sure the town is getting the use out of the idea here. And do you have anything to add, Max?
Not necessarily.
All right.
Covered most of it.
Any questions for us that we have
I have
from
a
anybody?
couple questions.
Yeah.
Yes,
So this is not a nonprofit, or it is?
this is a nonprofit.
Okay. The other questions I have you given this presentation to Carefree yet?
We have talked to John Crane, yes.
Okay, but you have given it to their council?
We have not have a meeting
Okay.
with the council
And
yet.
the other question I have is, how will you guys decide which town you're going to approach to co-sign? You said only one town could co-sign.
We can have both co-sign, yes.
Okay.
We'd like to make it as mutually beneficial for both towns as possible, as balanced as possible as well.
Well, I just want to say it's a great idea, and for those who have been around town for a while, this beats the heck out of the rickshaws.
Other questions? Tom?
Beautiful black vehicles, are they going to be air conditioned?
Yes, very well.
We don't have an interior picture, but we did in our meeting with Grady and the mayor as well. We were able to kind of show some of the interior of these vehicles. It's not going to be anything like a town or public transportation vehicle. It looks like you're in a motor coach style environment, I would say. The windows, you can see out of them just like it's like an HD TV, right? And the seats are all individual seats, leather stitched, diamond stitched with seat belts. So a very quality look and a good representation, I think, of both towns.
And
Have you done others done a similar project elsewhere that you could see as a model for what you're doing?
That's a great question.
There's a similar project in Hawaii. The Hawaiian Metropolitan Transit System is going more towards a fare-free approach, and they're starting to build up ad revenue from that and move away from the fares. It speeds up loading, unloading, and also reduces their liabilities as such, and it gets people moving around and using the system more than what they normally would. There's also a smaller one in Rancho Santa Fe in San Diego. They have about 3 vehicles, and they're totally fare-free, and they run off ad revenue, and they've been doing that for about 8 years now.
I think that is a point worth highlighting, is the goal is to start utilizing the program funding, but the end goal is to become fully self-sufficient off the ad revenue and then be able to not utilize the community grants, right?
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed route goes down to Holland Center on Carefree Highway. So has Scottsdale been involved at all in your discussions?
Not as of yet, no. The Holland Center and that sort of thing, when they have events, they would be I call them seasonal stops. When they have events that are beneficial to the towns of Cave Creek and Carefree, then we can make that an additional stop. The food bank when they're having events, rodeo when the rodeo is going on. On that map, the blue icons are seasonal stops, and the golds are year-round stops.
And for the proposed route, are there designated parking areas, assuming that you're going to attract new groups or individuals? And where will they be directed to park to access the shuttles?
One option, we've been speaking to the Boulders a little bit. They may let us use El Pedregal's parking lot. And then there is the Karstens, Ace Hardware, Terra Vita. We could have people park there as well. And everything's very fluid. We can adjust as we move along and as we get better ideas and refine everything, all the processes and such.
And in your director partners, you had identified a Holland Center representative, Jennifer, to participate on the board. Did you
Yes.
consider Desert Foothills Library as a community center and a source of many town meetings and activities?
Yes, we have spoken to Charity. She has signed a letter of support, and she said that anything that we see that they can assist us with, they would be willing to assist us with.
Okay. And one other question, thank you, Mayor. In terms of special events, would the vehicles be available for the town for special event purposes, such as the Taste of Cave Creek or other specific items like that?
Yes, any public facing event we can utilize the vehicles for.
Okay, thank you.
And for times like that, we could also modify the route, right? And that way we don't have to keep the full 35, right? We could,
And then for events, say the crazy the biker rally that goes through town, we can modify the schedule to be a U-shaped route, so we don't have to go directly through the event and speed up loading and unloading. It's where we don't have to go through the middle of the bikes and reduce our liability a little bit.
Thank you.
Tom, do you have anything?
We're not taking action tonight.
No.
We're not taking action.
Well,
tonight, are we?
No, not approval action, but we may want to make a recommendation or a motion.
Are we gonna have
General.
legal review on?
We're going to need to see this document you have with ADOT. When I looked at the package, there was no reference to an ADOT IGA, and I see on one of your slides you have an ADOT IGA. And I see that you have Carefree and Cave Creek possibly signatories. Both are in the insurance risk pool, so we won't have an insurance issue there. You as a nonprofit, as opposed to a transit authority, which is what your counterparts in both Maricopa County, Valley Metro, and Pinal and Pima both have authorities that are Title 48 governments and can sign an IGA. A nonprofit can't sign an IGA. So I think it's a great idea. Let's see what it is that ADOT wants from you. I can tell you, having done battles with ADOT for the past 25 years, their insurance and indemnity provisions are outrageous. And so we fought back and have won. And so we'll be happy to help you. Bottom line is, very good question. We need to take a look at that document to see how Carefree, Cave Creek, you, and ADOT are parties. If ADOT's a party, it's going to be a challenge. So we just need to work through that.
okay, absolutely.
For clarification tonight, we were just trying to ascertain the council's interest in this. If the council is interested, then if you can just go ahead and act that way, and then staff, as it states in the staff report, we will do the necessary follow-up. We did talk at length when we met back in December about an intergovernmental agreement with ADOT. Typically, that they need a municipality to be the pass-through for the funding for that to come through. So we need to be either Carefree or Cave Creek or both need to be a signatory to that. We don't have a document at this time. Part of what they're going to try to do is go through the grant application process first, see if they get approved. They're barely able to get in on the one, in fact, that was at the 5311.
I think it's the SMART grant.
The SMART grant.
Yeah.
And that would be a multi-year. What I like about what is proposed to you tonight is that it would only be funding for 1 year at this point, and it would give the town of Cave Creek and Carefree and the transit organization to identify the ridership and see if it's meeting expectations, see if it's meeting our expectations, see if there's any improvements for them before they continue and possibly consider applying for more of the ongoing grant funding. So, so tonight again is to try to ascertain council's interest. If there's an interest level, then you can go ahead and take action to instruct staff to come back at a later date with any of the instruments that would be required to make this happen, including an IGA.
Dusty, do you have any questions?
Yeah, excuse me. Do you have any estimates on the monthly wear and tear on the vehicles, and also things like petroleum, oil, lubricants? Because the dollar amount you're quoting is great to buy the vehicles, but there's going to be weekly or monthly charges based on how much fuel you're burning and other things. So I'd like to see a little bit more complete package on that if we could.
Yeah, so we can get that to you. because we've switched from the Gretsch to the Turtle Top, I'm still modifying that that financial document. But it's going to be about $165,000 a year, including driver costs to operate the system.
So it sounds to me like moving forward, that and I asked you earlier if you'd gone before the council actually over there in Carefree. It sounds like you'd have to get our blessing and Carefree's blessing in order for this to work, and then we would both hand it over to our staffs to put this together and come back to councils to approve it. So I just wanted to bring that up, so.
This is correct.
Questions I have is, so this is a one-time thing now. And do you really believe you can get ongoing funding for this to keep it free and to keep it from costing the two towns ongoing money?
I do believe that, yes. And the main thing would be the ad sales.
Ad sales.
Yes, the ad sales. In the long term, we plan on eventually weaning off of the grants and then becoming self-sufficient off the ad revenue. We have quite a few businesses and companies interested in putting ads on the vehicles.
Spaces.
Yes, sir. Each vehicle will have 16 ad spaces. Each window would be an ad space. And then if the town is interested, we can sell the stops as stop sponsorships. Nothing gaudy. Just say a little sign that shows where the buses will stop, and say there could be a Herald stop, a Keeler stop, wherever it may be, and those would be the stop sponsors, and they would pay monthly for that.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, the main interest, to me, that the main demographic that would use it would be people who are shopping in town.
Yes.
Which would generate sale. I just multiplied 165 or divided by 0.03. It would take $5.5 million of business in between the two towns to cover $165,000. It's a pretty good.
It is a good chunk, yes.
Yeah.
But I do think it's doable.
Okay. So what are you looking for tonight, staff? What do you need to proceed?
So I guess what I'm looking for is if the council has an interest in this, to continue to pursue it. This is not a definitive action tonight. What we're looking for is to provide staff direction to continue working with the Desert Foothills Transit, and then to come back at a later date with the implementation tools, the IGA, and anything else that we need. So they won't know until they've applied for the grant if it's going to happen or not.
Oh, okay.
So if the grant is rejected, then we're not going to continue with this.
So you're looking for a nod of the head from council to continue working this to see what
Yes.
that next step meets. Does anybody?
Mayor, I
shake
do
their
have
head?
a
Sorry.
public comment.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Kathleen Abate.
Hello. When I read about this in the agenda, I think the concept is a good idea to help those who have a hard time and are challenged or don't have a car to get around. We're not a big town, Carefree's not a big town, but it would help those people. So I'm curious if a ridership study was done for a need for this. My questions were about the route, so you showed that. And it sounds like, or it appears to be, that every 35 minutes, the bus is gonna take a loop. It takes 35 minutes to go around. So every 35 minutes, you're gonna see this bus go around through town. It's gonna hit through town. Advertisement on it, I was concerned about what that would look like. Is it gonna turn things commercial, and color our unique style differently?
We would be strategic and work with the towns on what can and cannot be displayed as an ad on it. Nothing political, no alcohol, no tobacco, anything of that sort.
Okay, and I know people are already concerned about how much signage is in and about around town, so how would that look? Is that gonna be more signage populating town? I'm not opposed to it. I think that it's at its infancy stage, and it could be, researched and looked through some more. Your bullet item number 4 says no immediate cash outlay. You kind of touched on that, and you said advertisement would cover for that, is what your hope is. But on your piece that you put up in the PowerPoint, it indicated that maybe up to 20% from the town. It can be in
It can be
any
in-
kind. So in kind, just like parking. Okay, where are you gonna park these buses? Dusty brought up maintenance. That was one of my questions. So what parcel are you gonna park on? And it seems like you want to do that in Cave Creek according to the agenda items. And it also was distinguished that Cave Creek would receive high density service, whereas Carefree would receive foot traffic service. So I wasn't real clear on that. So you want to do this year round, not just during special events. And your point about where would the stops be, would that include the rodeo grounds?
It would when the rodeo has events, yes.
So I guess the ridership study was something that I was like, do we have a demand for this? Do we have a need for this?
Just to speak to some of what I heard you mention as well. First things being the quality of the visual appeal, right? That is something that, and with everything that we're proposing in this project, we're taking in the considerations that we've heard from the towns, from the different people, the different businesses, what they would hopefully see. So having some gross, car wrap style advertisement, that's not what we envision. The buses themselves, they actually come with screens, so we can do rolling advertisements on those. We also imagine not putting the advertisement over the whole exterior of the bus, right? Only in the window panes and above the eye elevation. So it's not going to impede somebody's view looking out and enjoying the town as they're riding around, right? And also shouldn't offend anybody from a visual perspective, hopefully, right? That is one of our goals and something we hope to continue to work with the towns to make sure works well. I think the ridership thing is also key. I can understand that. And then you had one other good thing that I wanted to just highlight because it was a great one. But now it's slipping away from me.
Parking, Cave Creek, high service.
Parking,
density?
yes, that's it. Thank you so much. So the biggest thing is you said, you hit the nail on the head when you said infancy, right? Because we've heard about this need, this desire from around town. And I think as much as we're trying to put up strong supports as far as these are ideas of what we could do, right? I think we're also still flexible with one that we're not only working with the town of Carefree, but also the town of Cave Creek. And we want it to work well for everybody. So with understanding that dynamic and trying to balance the two relationships, we're willing to kind of flex and continue to try to tailor the approach to fit each of the towns. Because at the end of the day, everybody here on our board, business owners, nonprofit operators, right? Our goal is not to create something that becomes a hassle or continued maintenance for the town. We're seeking to create something that's a service that helps our town and our town members, and it's something that we've all run into, and I'm sure many of the people in this room have run into just being in the commerce area of the town and working with so many small business owners like we do every day. So just to give a nod of encouragement to the sense that we do have some layering to figure out, but we're optimistic that because of the great leadership of the two towns we're in and the desire from the community we're in to get it done, we can find some common ground and a way to make it move forward successfully.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
There's a letter of intent in here. I presume that's not been looked at. It's not ready for execution or anything like that. So, okay. So do you have the nod you need to proceed, or is anybody on council want to?
I think it's pretty clear that the council has an interest in this, but again, I think that there's more answers that they're looking for before locking in. And a lot of this won't happen or occur until after the grant has been applied for. And that's the first major step, but they wanted to ascertain your general interest level in this first. So I think staff's got a pretty good idea of where to go from here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is council discussion, possible approval to proceed with the purchase of a new 2027 International HV 607 4,000 gallon water truck for $211,062.74 to replace the existing 1999 Freightliner 4,000 gallon water truck.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here to spend some money on things we need. So item 3, the purchase of the water truck. The current water truck, we have 2 water trucks. One is in fairly good condition, or it's about 4 years old. This other one is a little older than that. And I think the mayor said it leaks like a sieve at one point. It was parked in the back parking lot, and I think you made a comment about how much it leaks. Anyway, we'd like to replace it, and we are using a state contract to do it. We looked at a couple of different vendors that would provide it, and this was the most advantageous bid to the town. Are there any questions on the water truck?
Questions from council? Cynthia?
How could you comment on the frequency of use? How routinely is the water tanker used?
The water trucks are used pretty much, if not on a daily basis, at least 4 times a week. Anytime we do any of the dust mitigation, we use the water trucks for that. When we do our maintenance of the shoulders, as far as our weed application, we use the water trucks because it's required to keep the dust down. So they're used quite often. And then obviously when we're ever doing a construction project, a grading of roads or anything else, we have the water trucks out there. And the nice thing about having 2 is one can be filling while the other one's in use, and we can circulate the 2 between the job.
Thank you.
Tom?
One of our great dangers here, of course, is forest fires. Would these trucks be useful in the event of a forest fire?
They were in the last fires that we had. Tyler was out there with the water truck spraying down the roads and trying to keep the fires from jumping. So yes, we were using them during the during those 2 big fires.
Dusty, you have any comment or question either? Okay, Joe, you have a comment or question?
No comment.
What you just said about the water trucks being used so that we didn't have the fire jump in the road. That almost sells me on it. And if we can afford it, we should probably do this.
Yes, and we could try and repair the one that we have, but $60,000 to $70,000 to get it back into working condition didn't seem like a logical thing for a vehicle that's 27 years old.
Okay, anything else for questions from council? Public comment?
I have none.
Okay, so
I'll do it.
we're ready for a motion here.
Okay, this is 2 out of 2. Approval to proceed with the purchase of a new 2027 International HV 607 4,000-gallon water truck for $211,000, $62.74 to replace the existing 1999 Freightliner 4,000-gallon water truck.
Second.
Tom, you had the,
Oh, I like that idea that it's useful for fires. That's a great move.
Cynthia,
Should be useful.
other comments from council? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried 6-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Okay, the PowerPoint, please.
We're on to council discussion, possible approval of a new HV 607 SBA roll-off dump truck for $270,000 to replace the existing 2009 International roll-off dump truck.
Yes, this vehicle is used primarily for the trimming that we do for along the roadways. We hook up the, we tow the chipper out, we do our trimming, we eject into there and then into the roll-off, and then we pick up the roll-off and carry it off. The problem that we have with this current one is that it was a smaller unit, and it had a proprietary container that was attached to it. And so we've spent probably as much money repairing the container as we do on the truck itself. And the truck is in need of other mechanical repairs. Tyler, you deal with your mic.
The motion is for 270. The price of the roll-off is 218.
Oh, sorry,
I think
218,000.
270 was what we had in the budget, I think.
Okay, so we put in the 270, but it's actually was, let's see if I-
218,571,
Yes.
Yes,
571.74, okay.
Yes.
What's that number again, please? We're replacing 270,000. Okay, it's here. Thank you.
Okay, where are we? We,
Questions?
okay.
We needed,
Any
Same,
questions?
same question, frequency of use?
It's used, we trim all the roads approximately 3 times a year. That's 75, well, I'll call it 75. It's actually 83 when you include the non-paved roads that we go along. We got a quote for $10,000 a mile, road mile to do it. And that's one shoulder, not both shoulders. So the frequency of use is probably seasonal, but what would you say, Tyler?
It's weekly. During the growing season, it's daily. It's every day pretty much. But then, sometimes when stuff slows down, it is usually weekly.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, a public comment?
I have none.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
I'll do it again. I'm on a roll. You
Um,
we've
what-
gotten everything approved so
what
far.
do we do
Here
without
we
you?
go. Yeah. This is approval of new international HV 607 SBA roll-off dump truck for not a price not to exceed $218,571.74 to replace the existing 2009 international roll-off dump truck.
Second.
Okay, Tom, you had the motion.
My record is good so far. I'm going for broke.
Plenty of things to trim this year.
Oh, especially this year.
Yeah.
Other comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Next item is council discussion and possible approval of an award of a contract for the 2026 capital paving projects to National Pavement Partners for an amount not to exceed $745,316.10.
Okay, the town took bids on January 29th. We were happy to receive 8 bids for our paving projects. The paving projects included on this include a piece of 72nd Street, south of Continental and Rockaway Hills Drive, which is a pulverize and pave, which means we just basically take the material that's there, pound it into the ground, and then mix it in with the base and then pave over it. We also have the Ridgeway Drive and Tanya Drive, pulverize and pave. And then and then the final one is a little thing called Cave Creek Road southbound. We got the northbound one done last year in conjunction with the City of Phoenix Water Line. And our goal is to get the southbound one done so that we have a nice entry and exit from the town of Cave Creek. Currently, that piece of road is considered to be poor or very poor within our pavement management study, and we'd like to make it to excellent.
Okay, is there some reason these two are separate? Can we take them at the same time? And
Between 5 and 6?
yeah,
They're different contractors.
okay.
So different contracts.
Okay. Questions from council? I'm really happy to see that number of bids. So congratulations on that.
Mayor, if I may, Hal, also because of the unit pricing, we thought we might be able to throw in some additional when this is completed, correct?
Yes, what we'll do is we'll get through item 6, and at the end of item 6, what we would like to do is entertain from the council the ability to come back at the March meeting with change orders to these contracts, because we ended up with about 350,000 less than what we had budgeted. And we'd rather turn that into pavement than sit on the books.
And these are really good prices, right?
They're really good prices.
Told me in the hallway the other day.
Yes, they're good prices. And I'd like to take advantage of the prices that we got.
There you go.
Are we on
Joe?
comment? I just want to say that I was at Costco today and I saw a guy with a Cave Creek thing on his car, and I said, "Where do you live in Cave Creek?" He lives on Tanya and Ridgeway. And he said to me, "Yeah, I heard through Mark Bradshaw that they're going to pave our road." Well, I'm going to let him know if we approve this that we are. So
Other questions? I guess we're in question time. So I'll make this motion. If you, I can steal the thunder from you.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Okay, motion.
Mayor.
Yes.
Public comment.
Oh, public,
No,
comment.
sorry.
We did.
Yes.
Comment, okay.
Beth McAleer.
I was on a roll until then.
Sorry to interrupt progress.
No, I'm not interrupting. Welcome.
I'm Beth McAleer, and I'm here representing several neighbors. And we spoke to Hal and Tyler a couple of weeks ago, and they suggested we come and present our case. So I'm here to request that a road in our neighborhood be included in the paving projects this year. The road is Sunset Trail, and it's between Stagecoach Pass and North 62nd Street. I live actually up North 62nd, which is a private road. But anyway, this section of Sunset Trail has been on the backup list, I think, for a number of years. Various neighbors have requested that it be repaved and repaired, and we just haven't been picked. And so I'm here to state our case again. And there's quite a few new homes in the area and a lot more traffic. You get traffic coming up from Cave Creek Road on both sides, Stagecoach Pass and Lone Rifle. And so this section is not really very long, but it's quite damaging to small people who have small cars. Really say they can't drive on it at all. They try and avoid it. It's treacherous if you're trying to pass another car. And I personally just worry about any emergency vehicles, in a hurry to get up that road. So anyway, I understand that, you've got there's need everywhere in Cave Creek and lots of requests, but I wanted to respectfully ask that this section of Sunset Trail be fixed. And I don't know the appropriate road term for road repair term, but it's in very, very bad shape. So anyway, I really appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question. Is this over by Tandem and Tally Ho?
No.
No, it's south of Tandem and Tally Ho.
Okay. Still on the side of Black Mountain though, right?
West side.
Yeah, I moved, we approved the contract for National Pavement Partners for amount not to exceed $745,316.10.
Second.
Okay, I have I'm happy we're doing it. We need to spend some money on roads and get them for all the deferred maintenance we've had over the years.
Our neighbors on 72nd Street will be glad to hear that it's being paved. Unfortunately, it's not their section of 72nd Street. So we'll keep working on that.
Wait just a second till item 6.
Other comments from council? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Number 6 is council discussion of possible approval of 2026 Cape Seal. It sounds like an animal, a sea animal. Road projects to Cactus Asphalt for an amount not to exceed $304,961.
Okay, a Cape Seal is sort of a hybrid product. It's not a chip seal where you just put tar on the road and then you put chips down. What this is you put a leveling course of slurry seal down, then you put a layer of chips, then you top it off with another layer of slurry. So you're creating basically a flexible pavement sandwich on top of and we normally put this over chip sealed roads to try and lengthen the project. So the 3 projects or the projects that we have are the Red Dog Ranch west of Spur Cross Road. This is out of our pavement management program. And then 72nd Street from Continental Mountain Drive to Continental Mountain Estates Drive. And we're doing the bottom part as a chip seal. As a pulverize and pave, because there's nothing to really lay down on top of And then this would be the piece that we would do using the chip seal or the Cape seal, excuse me. So those are the projects that we're currently coming forward with. There are other projects, like I said, that we will come forward with to try and use up the extra money between Cape and the pulverize and pave.
Question from council? Public comment?
None on this item.
Okay, I will make this motion. Move to approve the contract to Cactus Asphalt for an amount not to exceed $304,961.
Second.
Okay, I have no comment. I think we need to keep going.
And once again, I would say I'd be happy to tell my neighbors on 72nd that there's work being done, but unfortunately it's not their section of 72nd.
Okay, sorry.
We'll get to it.
We're getting there.
Other comments from council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. We're on number 7, which is council discussion, possible approval of an amendment to the scope of work with MGC Contractors for an amount of $59,619 to add cleaning of the Stagecoach and Chuparosa force mains to the existing scope to clean the Rancho Manana force main. John left the building.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Just to give you a real brief synopsis of this, Sean is trying to clear some of the sewer mains that we have with what's called pigging. You might have heard this before, but they use some sort of an ice kind of product that goes into the ice slurry, and it moves along and it tries to clear the lines. We've been having some issues with some backups and some other issues. And so we just started, and under my signature authority, I was able to get going, but we needed to do an amendment to the contract to do a larger section. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Sean to finish description of this and why we are here tonight.
That's interesting because we have started. I actually can show you. Think of a slushy that cleans out our lines. So it's quite interesting technology. I'll explain what we're doing though. So the town has 3 major force mains. We have associated with our 3 lift station sites. The Rancho Manana is their largest in 8-inch diameter, so over 2.8 miles long. That's the one, if council remembers, 2 years ago, and I'll never forget the dates when we actually had that collapse at the intersection of Cave Creek Road and Carefree Highway. So ever since then, we've been trying to think of ways to clean these. But we also have the force main that comes out of our Chuparosa site, which is 1,500 feet, and Chuparosa being the largest or the oldest force main that we have that comes out of the Rancho Manana subdivision. And our Stagecoach force main that comes out of Stagecoach Pass development and takes actually a large area of the town south of Surrey Road, and that's over 3,000 feet long. So of those issues, though, the one we've been trying to deal with is our Rancho Manana force main itself, because that's one, again, we had a collapse 2 years ago. And then last year we noticed that, sadly, we had the first overflow of the Rancho Manana lift station in 4 years. When we investigated that, we had a pump performance issue that we're addressing. And then we also realized that the force main had a blockage in it. And how we found that was actually along the lines, there's many cleanouts, there's air relief valves. We actually started doing pressure logging of that. And you can see the profile of that force main. It's 2.8 miles long, and it comes up quite a bit in elevation. It tops out around just between Surrey and Cholla, and then it goes downhill, but it undulates a lot. So what we believe happened is there's been sediment depositing in those low spots along the line that causes the blockage. So it's reducing the flow at the site, so we need to get material out of there. And we've been able to isolate the worst section is actually the bottom 1,500 feet, which gets close to the intersection of Carefree Highway, which makes us very nervous because of what we experienced a few years ago at that site. We have another project in our capital program to actually do inspections of these. So we're trying to get the cleanings done and actually run an inspection ball down the force mains that would help us determine if there is still debris in the lines and also help us with material integrity. But this project is really just focused on the cleaning aspect of that. What makes it difficult to clean a force main, there's a couple of mechanisms. There's you can do what's called mechanical pigging, where you have a foam pig, you bring it down the line. 2 of our 3 force mains, we have an issue with trying to deal with that because the Rancho Manana force main has what's called our plug valves. They actually, the mechanical pig will get caught in those plug valves. So that we have 6 locations. We actually had one fail on us. We actually cut that out about 7 years ago. So mechanical pigging's not in the cards. So we started looking at, we've done a water flushing, and that's been beneficial where we get, run the pumps for an extended period of time, run that out, but we need something else more aggressive. So we started to work with our vendors during our master plan, and they suggested we look at our consultants ice pigging. And you can see some of the material as the manager indicated, we've actually started the process. We did the Rancho Minot force main today, the lower section of it. So it looks like a slurry and a slushy, and they can make it thicker or thinner. And I'll show you some pictures of the material. It's quite interesting. You inject this into the force main, and then you use your pumps to actually push this slurry down. So it actually is scouring. So unlike water flushing, where you're getting some velocity flushing, you're actually getting mechanical flushing with a slurry. It's not as good as a mechanical pig, but again, we have issues with the Rancho Minot force main and our Chipperosa force main. Chipperosa, the issue is that it changes diameter. It starts as a 4-inch and becomes a 6-inch. They use two sections of pipe to put together, so the pig would be effective on the 4-inch and then loses effectiveness when you get into the 6-inch. So we run into issues with 2 of our 3 force mains. And the cost of cleaning the Rancho Minot force main was $98,000. That's to bring it in under MGC as a job order contract. The vendor itself is called American Pipeline Services, APS. You may see their trucks around a little bit. They have a crew that runs around nationally. So there's actually only a couple of these trucks in the nation. So we're lucky that we're actually able to work with them since Christmas and get a time frame to get them down here. But we realized once they're down here, we'd really like to do not just Rancho Minot, which we know have a blockage, but clean out our other 2 force mains while we're here to get some advantage of it. And this is the equipment. They're 2 separate tractor trailers. I couldn't get a good picture, but they're sitting next to each other. The first one is the receiving basin. That actually, the lower one is where they chill the material. They put it into it. It's a salt water solution. They put some salt into it, and then in the other, they chill it down, and then there's an auger in the other one. They can make it as thick as you want. They can make it almost into ice crystals. But again, think of it as a slushy, but of a taste that you don't want to deal with. So it's kind of unique. And this is results from today. We actually did monitor it down in Carefree Highway. We did the lower section. We're actually breaking Rancho Minot into 3 sections, and we're actually going to clean the 4th cleaning. We'll be going back down to the lower level and clean that out. We can monitor the pressure or the temperatures. We actually saw when that picture was taken, the water temperature was at 0. So 32 degrees centigrade or 32 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit. 0 Celsius coming through, so you can see the pipe material. So this is about 2 manholes down from when the force main comes in, and you can see how dark that color is. That is actually the material we are removing from the force main. And the graph on the side is actually our SCADA system. You can see as we put the ice into it, we have to stop to inject the ice, and then we actually have to push it using the pump. So you can see the pressure increased at the site. There was some concern there, but and the pumps kept up with it. And once that slug got moving, you can see the flows in the pump then increased. We expect that as we go through and clean the other sections and then go back to the first section again, that it'll be next week that we really see the results of this, but we're already seeing some better flows coming out of the lift station. So we see it's working. So this makes us really want to do the other 2 force mains also, which is why we need the change order. So we did Stagecoach and Chipperosa. It makes sense that they're out here. Again, they're a nationwide company, but they're not out that often. They actually have to leave this weekend to go to Georgia. So a mobilization cost is over $23,000 just to have them come out. So by having them on board this week, we can get that done. The cost of cleaning all 3 is about just over $158,000. Again, we started the project with the town manager's authority doing Rancho Minot, but we need a change order of just under $60,000 for council to authorize so we can complete the cleaning operations. So I'm sorry, speaking fast here, but like I always do. So again, we're asking for that authority to do that change order to add the Chipperosa and Stagecoach lift stations to the scope of work to allow us to clean all 3 force mains. And then we'll monitor as we move forward. And then hopefully we've made some good progress in helping keep the town's collection system and especially the force mains less likely to have issues.
Questions from council? Tom?
You mentioned going from, was it a 4-inch line to an 8-inch line?
4-inch to a 6-inch is what we have for
Is
Chipperosa.
it viable to make the whole thing 6 inches?
Not in that case, and actually, it's Chipperosa is a hybrid site. There used to be a small treatment plant actually just south, originally when the Rancho Minot subdivision started, and then it got redirected into the plant that we ended up purchasing back in 1995. It's a hybrid. It would actually make more sense to continue the 6 inches of 4 inch all the way through, but that would be going into the lift station and finding out where it is. We actually don't know where the transition occurs. One of the reasons we're doing the inspection, we're actually going to put a little inspection ball into each of the force mains, and that will help us with pressure differentials and tell us where the turns are and actually where in this case, where the Chipperosa lift station changes diameter. We don't know. I've got one set of plans that helps explain. We have an idea where it might transition, but we don't really know where it transitions in size. So, yeah.
Good luck.
Cynthia.
How frequently in the past has this type cleaning been done, and what do you anticipate? If this is successful now, what kind of useful life will there be?
Yeah, we talked to the vendor and asked that very question. I think 3 to 5 years, depending on the material, it makes sense to do this. Again, we've used water flushing before, where we've used a hydraulic pump, and we just, we feed the lift station with potable water from a fire hydrant. We just use the hydraulic pump to run it, or the in situ, the pumps at the site. That has given us a benefit, but it looks like up to 5 years, it might make sense to have them come back again and do this again to clean these materials out. The problem we really have with the Rancho Mignona lift station, it's such a large force main at 8 inch diameter, and the flows, even when the pumps are running at optimal capacity, which we lost a little bit last year, the velocity is not that fast, so we actually get settlement. So wastewater contains material, the material settles out in all those low spots. So this is just something that's an ongoing issue with that force main. And then the other two, it's just nice to get them done at the same time while they're out here and just get them all three cleaned up for us.
Thank you.
So.
Did you see any evidence when you did Rancho Mignona of taking out the plugging that's in that line?
Yes, it's where we started the operation we did today. We did the lower third of the line, the lower 4,200 feet. So we started just south of, it's not Creek Canyon. I think it is actually Creek Canyon, is where we actually were injecting the ice into the force main. It's actually our stop the edge of our right of way, Cave Creek Road, where it transitions from Carefree to Carefree. So we did the lower 4,200 feet, and we did see, I can see on the performance today, the pressures has dropped a little bit and the pump performance have gone up a little bit. So we actually have removed some of the blockage. We'll now go up the next blockage. The next section we'll do is the next 5,000 feet up from Surrey down to that point, the end of the line, effectively, and then we'll do from lift station to the end of the line, and then we'll go back and do the last section. We believe the last section is the worst because that's where the flows undulate the most and there's the most dips. We're actually dipping under all the drainage culverts on Cave Creek Road, and that's where we believe all the material is settling out for us. So as of Friday, we'll have had the line cleared out for the breaking into the 3 sections and then repeating the first section again. We believe we'll see the best results over the weekend and through next week is when we'll actually really realize it. But we saw some already today.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we've moved some stuff out of the line.
Dusty, any questions? Okay, the public comment?
None.
Seeing none? Okay, I'll make the motion. I move to approve the amendment to the scope of work with MGC for an amount of $59,619.
Second.
Okay, the collection system is the most neglected but important part of our waste system and maybe even the water system, and it has had numerous problems. I'm really happy that we've got this innovative technique to do this because it's been a problem, and we spent how many hundreds of thousands of dollars when we have leaks and things. So this is preventive maintenance, and we ought to be doing more of this in general on everything. So I'm highly in favor of this.
And thank you for the good timing of being able to put the 2 projects together. Short order.
Other comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We're on to Sean, you're up again. Presentation of the second quarter finance report. Finance report.
Spent a lot of money. I'm going to sure.
Well, one of you spends it and the other one does something with it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for our agenda today, I've got that we'll talk about projects that finance has been working on. the financial status for the second quarter, we talked about during the retreat last Thursday. So I was not going to repeat that part of the discussion, but I will go into the quarterly debt report and the quarterly investment report, and then talk about where we're at on our performance measures. So here's some of the projects that we have completed during the second quarter. A couple things that I thought I would note here on this slide. Some of the things that, so as you know, you had approved a procurement purchasing manager position for this year that has been posted, and there's candidates, and hopefully start interviewing processes soon. But some of the things that would have liked to have been able to have that person do that I've had to step in and help with. But so we did the consultant for the Desert Hills IFB. And so I basically was the one taking that on of getting all those quotes and doing the award of the contract for the consultant, and also participating in that IGA with the MCSO that we finally got that all updated. So things that I will be happy to pass on to the other person once they are on board. Some of our in-process projects. Couple things to note here on this slide, the utility rate study. So that was final and effective during third quarter. The user fee portion of the utility fees, we will be starting on that hopefully soon. It's a lot of projects on my plate right now, so it's difficult to try and find time to get all of these done. The debt financing options for the Harquahala purchase. So we did complete that process with the cancellation of the contract during the third quarter. And then also with the Desert Hills IFB process. So again, I will be happy if anything like this occurs again in the future, that to hand it over to the purchasing procurement position. So a lot of these things have taken up a lot of my time, and that's why some of these other projects have not been completed and not really moved. The long range forecast model. So the new model that I've been working on, so that will be completed in the third quarter, but spent a lot of time trying to get that ready, and presented some of that information from the model in the retreat last week. Also completed with the effective date in the third quarter was the increase in the bed tax and hotel tax. And we kicked off the fiscal year 27 budget process during the second quarter. And one of the things that's on here that we've started working on, the ClearGov software, which is the new budgeting software that council had approved. But it's a lot to try and get that implemented in addition to all the other things that are going on. So it's really primarily Excel and Word that we're using right now for the fiscal year 27 budget process. A variety of policies that have been started and haven't had a chance to get back to and get those finalized, but I have put a lot of work into reviewing town code related to utility billing elements. And so hopefully I'll be able to finish that soon and have those for you. And then some of the future projects. So one of the things that's here on this slide that's been on the list for a little while, the investment advisory services. I'm really hoping to get to this pretty soon, because typically with an investment advisory firm, it can help increase what our returns are on our investments. And primarily right now we're investing in the local government investment pool, which is handled through the state treasurer's office, and the sweep account on our bank account. So we're not really doing anything else beyond that with any of our investing. On this page with the future projects, just to point out, so there is the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that said that the halftime portion of overtime will not be taxed. The way they have dealt with this is it's not that we don't tax it when we are doing payroll. It's that the employees can take a deduction on their tax forms. But we need to be able to report that information to them in such a way that they can know what the information is to put on their tax forms. And Casella isn't even really sure how they're going to handle this at this point in time. So hopefully they have something figured out before the end of this year when we have to report this on W-2s. And a variety of things here that we've mostly talked about, and I apologize, the one in the middle about the debt financing options for the Harquahala purchase, I forgot to delete it off this slide. It was rather late when I was working on this just before the deadline of trying to get my slides in, so I missed that one. So looking at the debt as of the second quarter, so these payments don't really change a lot. We do have in our policy that we will report on this quarterly. So things like leases and subscription liabilities do change, but the WIFA loans and the direct placements have July 1 and January 1 payments. So these don't always change each time. When you look at this, you will see that we have added on the new debt that was issued in December for the utility CIP projects. That was $7.25 million that has been added on here. The last item in each one of the Cave Creek Water, Desert Hills wastewater for that series 2025 is really an estimation of the split. The way that this was written as far as the scope of the debt financing allows a lot of flexibility. So depending upon which projects are moving forward at the time and timely using the monies, it could change the allocation over time. So we'll know a final allocation later. And so here we have a schedule of the future payments. So you can see the breakdown between how much the payments are left for WIFA loans compared to direct placements. You can see with Desert Hills that the WIFA loans will be paid off soon. And you can see just from the totals in each of some of those amounts that will be paid off pretty soon. And just to point out on the previous slide, so you've got Cave Creek Water has a couple that would be final payment July 1, 2027. Desert Hills has the WIFA loan 2027. So a few of these coming up very soon. And then here's the future payments on the lease and subscription amounts. So looking at the investment report, so as of the end of December, the investment portfolio had 33.7 million. This does not include the proceeds from the debt that was issued, that $7.25 million. Those are held by the trustee. So I'm excluding those from this analysis here. One of the things that you'll notice under the bank deposits for one of the checking accounts that it has a very high balance. That is because we finally received the reimbursement that we'd been waiting on from WIFA for such a long time. And so we received it in December and we moved 7 million out of that account into the local government investment pool, the LGIP, in January. So comparing the rate of return to the benchmark of the 3-year treasury. So a little bit under, and a big part of that is going to be because of all of a sudden getting that money in and having it sit in the checking account and getting it moved over to the LGIP. Here's a look at the portfolio balances. So previous fiscal year are the blue lines and the orange lines are the current year. So you can see that jump up there when we got our WIFA reimbursement. And just so that you are aware, I think I might have mentioned this last Thursday, but so we have an additional 3.4 million in WIFA loan reimbursements and grant reimbursements to be submitted and received. So still more money to add to the portfolio. And looking at the rate of returns on the investments. So you can see the kind of a downward trend a little bit in the rates because we were at much higher rates there for a little while and it's come down quite a bit. The way that some of this works when amounts are going up in the 3-year treasury, the 3-year treasury has a lot more responsiveness to the markets, whereas the local government investment pools, because it's a pool of a variety of different investments, then it tends to lag. So as things are going up, it takes a little longer for LGIP typically to reach some of that. And then when rates are coming down, LGIP will stay up higher and take a little longer to come back down. So you see some of that crisscross as rates are changing. One of the things that we have as our target is that we are plus or minus 0.5% in our spread. And so particularly like on the positive side, it's good when we're even more than the 0.5%. But any of these negative spreads are pretty minor compared to those. So we're obviously above the 3-year treasury most of the time. Looking at the transactions for the quarter, so you can see a net of the transactions from the acquisitions, dispositions, and then our earnings, almost 4.5 million. So it's primarily because of that WIFA money that we received that helped boosted the portfolio. And just to point out, so on the earnings, so on the LGIP for the quarter, about $222,000 is how much we earn in the quarter, and on the sweep account, 48,000. So those are pretty significant numbers that we're earning per quarter on our investments. On the performance measures, so the first one there, closing the general ledger within 10 business days. So October took 19 business days, and we had staff that was still in training. We also had the audit going on and budget and a variety of other projects. November, 15 business days, again, training, working on budget and other projects. And then we lost our employee that you may or may not have heard. And so in December, 6 business days, because Bridget gets this stuff done when she does it herself very, very quickly. You may remember seeing in some of the past months before we got the accountant position filled that she'd get it done in like 2 or 3 days. So, so it took her a little longer because she was trying to get things caught up. GFOA award. So we had received the fiscal year 24 ACFR award, fiscal year 25 budget award. And I just got notice this afternoon that we have received our award for our fiscal year 26 budget document.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we're still really hovering like really close to 100% or even at 100% on the percentage of the AP invoices paid within 30 days. Still working on, there's still vendors that aren't sending their invoices directly to finance. So we're constantly trying to get that addressed. And then we can track them and have an idea of where they're at and if they're getting paid timely. Utility accounts over 60 days. So we have a very low amount of our utility accounts that are over 60 days. So 5% in October, November, and December, even a little bit better at 4%. And then I had talked about the investment returns versus the 3-year treasury. and kind of that crisscross that happens there. So any questions on any of that?
Questions?
I just wanted to know where we stand with the a grant for the interconnect. Is it 2 million?
So the grant was awarded, like it was awarded like a while ago, but then you had to go through this additional process because it was congressionally directed spending. Then they assign it to an agency. And so then it went through the EPA process. And so that was awarded, I want to say back in September. So it's really just getting the drawdowns and everything all submitted. We have questions for them on exactly how they want some of the reporting done because there's some unique things that we want to address. And so we're trying to get those answers.
Hey, one more.
Yes, Cynthia.
You had indicated the tourism office lease through 2035. So is that 5-year, like 5-year and 5 renewal, or a 10-year lease?
So it's a 5-year with a
Okay.
5-year option that the accounting rules say if it's like likely that we will extend, then we're supposed to include that in the calculation. So we felt like it was likely we would extend.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from council? Okay, thank you very
Very good.
much. Looks good.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
That completes our agenda. I move we adjourn.
Second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.